I'm going to take a trip to my favorite place. Now, you know, the first place I'm going to go is the craft aisle, because they always have something new back here every time I come. Alright, for our Nook, we are going to need paint. Now, if you're planning to paint your background, you need whatever colors you're going to make it. And they have a little bit of everything. I got a little treasure chest box. It was like a little jewelry box. I grabbed some brushes, some sponge brushes. Then over here to the floral section. Now for the Nook, you're going to want some kind of grass. This decorative moss, this is good for like flat grass. And then they have this other kind of moss called reindeer moss. And these are actually pretty cool for little plants. So I'm going to grab one of each. And then I want something that's like tall grass, tall strands. Ooh, like this. Maybe not quite that long, but you get the idea. Now for the emeralds and jewels in my chest, you could use the crushed glass. Got two different colors here. I'm going to want rocks for my pathway. I'm going to probably dig these out of my driveway and around the neighborhood. There's rocks everywhere, but if you want to buy them, you can. Definitely need masking tape and glue. And string lights. They usually keep these up by the register. You're going to need AA batteries for these. And then cardboard from a cereal box. 2 books, same height and width. Doesn't matter how thick they are. A background, you can paint or print one. And 2 AA batteries. So I'm going to put my batteries in to my lights and then my rocks. And I got these ones from my driveway, so I'm probably going to paint some of them just to mix it up a little bit. And I got these while I was walking around the neighborhood. Different sizes, different textures. So to paint my rocks, I'm going to take out about 1/3 of them and just mix them up with some brown paint and let them sit. And I got a hold of some metallic paint so I could make some gold nuggets. Now while my rocks are drying, I'm going to paint my treasure chest inside and out. And even a little dab of paint up here on this thing here, kind of make it look old and rusty. Now I printed a background. I Google searched some images and this is what I really liked. It popped for me. You can use whatever you want or you can paint one. Now let's prep the books. So your 2 books are going to be the 2 sides of your Nook. And your stuff is going to be in the middle. So we're going to tape up these and let me show you how real quick, just to keep the book jackets from sliding around. Now you don't have to use one with a book jacket, but if you do, you're going to want to tape this side just to make sure it doesn't slide around. But either way, you definitely want to tape the pages together. So here's for the jacket. Make sure it's on there good and tight. Tape it in place. Okay, and then even if you're not using a dust jacket, go ahead and do this. It makes it easier. Line up your pages and then tape them together nice and tight. Nice and tight. And I'm going to do it on top and bottom. So this is the left side. You can see that's where your book is going. Now this book here, you want to use the right side and tape that just like you saw in the last book, just opposite. Okay, now we need to cut out our back. So measure the height of your book. And now we have to figure out how wide we want this. So I'm going to actually take my little treasure chest and stick it in here and kind of get an idea of how much space do I really need in here. So here that is. I don't need quite that much space. Out there. And then I'm going to measure that. So now I have my back. And this should fit right in between there. All right, now we need to do the top. So we've already measured how big we want the back. So we're going to use that measurement to measure out for the top. And because the bottom is the same size as the top, we're going to go ahead and measure that out a second time. And we'll have the top and the bottom. We can cut them both out of the same piece here. Okay, now hang on to that extra piece there. So there's our bottom. And we're going to use the bottom of the book to decide how much the bottom should stick out here. So the top and the bottom are the same, so you can use that same measurement. Now that extra piece is going to go across the front here. So we want to make sure this is the same measurement. And cut that little excess piece off. Okay. Now our background piece, we're going to take that. Now if you used a cereal box with print, you want to do this with the print side up. Put the glue all over the print side up. Use your sponge to kind of smooth it out so it's not all lumpy. And then just smooth the paper out nice and neat. And I'm going to flip mine and put the book on there just to make sure it's really good and flat. And then when it's dry, just cut off the excess. So let's put this together now. For the top pieces, you want to take your top piece, your square piece, and then the extra little piece, and we're going to tape these two together. Just on the one side. Make sure you line them up good. That way you have your overlap. It'll be on your top. So now take your bottom piece and your background picture piece. Put the picture down, facing flat down. And we're going to tape these two together. And make sure you line this up nice and neat. And now, there will be your background and your ground. Now for the top, you want to flip this over so that it's taped side down, and we want to tape that to the back of the picture. There's your bottom, your back, and your top. Your flap should hang over the top. All right, now let's put this together on the one side. Now, if you are right-handed, you would put your left book on first. If you are left-handed, you want to put the other book on first. So, since I'm right-handed, I'm going to put the left book on first. Open the book, put it picture side down, and then just tape it right up to. Nice and neat. You want to line up the top and bottom corners. That way when you turn this around, there you go. Now we just need to tape that bottom piece to the bottom of the book. There we go. You just lay that top, flap it back out of your way. Now I'm going to turn around. Let's put the lights on. Now I got this one. Remember, we got this from the Dollar Tree. We've already put our batteries in there. Now I'm going to leave this wound up, but I'm just going to pull these lights to either side so you have a spot in the middle that we can tape to. Now you want to make sure that you don't put tape over the top of your switch. You want to know where that's at. Keep that in mind where that's at. Okay, so let's tape the lights on first. First, the heavy part. Let's put this right up against that seam, right where the tape meets. Tape it on good. Now you might want to use a different kind of tape for this. I would not probably use glue, just in case you need to change batteries. You don't want to be able, you need to be able to get to your batteries. But I'm going to use masking tape just for the purpose of the video, so you know how it's done. And so we gather these up and then tape right across the middle, kind of keep them in place. Right across the middle there. Now I'm going to reinforce this a little bit because it is a little heavier than I was expecting. AA batteries are heavy. So make sure your switch is sticking out. And then I'm going to cut this excess tape off of here. There. Test to make sure we're good. Now I use a pill bottle top and one of these sponge brushes just to make it a little easier. I'm going to start putting grass in this in the back, work from the back towards the front. And then we're going to go to the back and make sure that we fill in where it needs filling in. So I've got that decorative moss. Just kind of pull it apart a little bit and it crumbles and just looks like grass. Pretty cool. Easy solution, because going online I was looking at some of these things and they were so expensive, but Dollar Tree saved me. So here's my little plant. Now remember, I just want the grass out of it. So I'm going to pull this apart and I'm going to take all the pieces out that I don't want, and I'll hang on to those for a different project. So just these little pieces here is all I wanted. Now I'm going to take this, put them together, kind of one inside of the other. And then I'm going to take some of this reindeer moss. I'm going to find a couple of chunks that are, little, like chunks rather than just flakes. I'm going to take my grass and I'm going to take these chunks and I'm going to wrap them around the bottom so that you can't see, where the plastic plant goes on the plastic thing. Yeah, makes it a little more realistic looking when it's finished. Don't be shy with your glue. I mean, anything that's not glued into this thing is going to fall out when you move it. So make sure that you glue everything in there real good. So I'm just going to dip that in there and I'm going to hold that. I'm probably going to run through here and put a piece of tape on that plant because it's driving me crazy. There we go. I'm going to put down my rocks, start with a little glue, put the rocks where you want them. And then I put a little glue on the top of them and just kind of tap them down where you want them. And that way the rocks all kind of stick to each other and not just the bottom. And now my bigger ones, I'm going to dip those and place them where I want, because I want my treasure chest to kind of be cocked to the side a little bit. I'm going to put more rocks here. I want to finish this pathway. I think I'm going to bring the pathway all the way to the front. glue those babies in. Now I'm going to take my bigger rocks and kind of just put them where I think the treasure chest is going to need to lean. And then I'm going to line my little thing here so it looks like a walkway. And now I'm going to put more grass on here. I don't want this to have white spots across the bottom. I want it to look like a forest floor. I've never seen a forest floor with white spots. At least not paper ones anyway. I'm going to glue my box right into place. Kind of hold it there, resituate it. And now I'm going to fill my treasure chest. Now if you use a crushed glass, then you would do this with the crushed glass. I passed on that, so I'm just going to use some regular rocks. And then I'm going to take my gold rocks and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mix them in some glue. That way they adhere not just to the bottom, but to each other and the sides and everything. And then I'll just pick them out and place them on top of these rocks one by one so you can see them from whichever direction you're looking into the nook. I'm going to take another chunk of this reindeer moss and I'm going to hide the bottom of this picture back here. That way it just looks more realistic. Plants up against the plants. Now we got to put on the other book. And just like we did the first one, you want to line it up nice and neat, as neat as you can. And tape the edges. And then do the same thing for the bottom. Okay, and now we're going to do the top. So I'm just going to put this on here about halfway, and then halfway, and then I'm going to fold them over. Put the top up there, line it up, and then just tack them in place. The sides, now you want to make sure you line these up because these are going to help give the top of it stability. So line them up nice, and then we'll reinforce the top. Now paint the outside. We don't want it to be white, we want it to look kind of foresty. And then you just lean in there and click that baby on. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in my next video.